to The Breakdown. I'm Heath Kenny, the founder of UNA Creative, and this is our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining, thanks for watching. So today we're going to talk about compromise and why I think it's a load of BS. No compromise. That's right, so when we're talking about development, this word, compromise, seems to come up a lot. I see it all the time in these like industry events. People like, the first thing we're going to talk about is compromise. Like we've got clients and what have you, we've got to compromise. I think that's not true. I think that's a buzzword which actually gives off the wrong impression, because compromise is obviously a noun. It's a naming word. The first definition that I wrote down after looking on the internet, so I'm just going to look at my notes. The first meaning that I found on the internet was an agreement. So it's agreement or settlement of a dispute reached by each side by making concessions. I can't spell. Making concessions, whatever, anyway. So, like, the idea of, like, this is an agreement or a settlement of a dispute, right? Is that really what we want to be doing in development? Like, settling a dispute? I'm not sure. And the other meaning that I noticed on there was even worse, quite frankly. I was like, yes, this is terrible! This is why compromise is a bad thing. So it's like the expedient, acceptance, of standards. This is where it gets really bad. That are lower than desirable. Okay, so are we really wanting to talk about compromise in development, honestly? Because are we talking about an agreement or settlement of dispute? I don't think so. Are we talking about the expedient acceptance of standards that are lower than desirable? I hope not. And if that's what you're trying to tell your clients, I don't think that's the right message. For me, the alternative to compromise is really about looking to bring value and looking to act as a partner. So instead of starting with how can I make a concession, how can I compromise on this dispute because we have two opposing opinions, it's like, how do we start asking questions about what it is that our client wants and how we can build a solution? Because I think that's the big thing, it's like finding a meaningful solution to a big problem. Start by listening and asking questions. That's the first thing. We want to listen to our clients, we want to understand what it is they need and how we can solve it at a content level. We're not here to serve, we want to behave like partners, right? Development needs to be brave, teams need to be driving the projects forward, and we need to be making the hard decisions. That requires trust. So how do we do that? We do it with respect, love, and passion. And what do I mean by that? I mean you need to respect your clients and you need to understand that they're in a very difficult position when they're stepping into the void of development, right? They're the ones spending the money, they're the ones taking the risk. You need to respect that. When I say love, I'm talking about my love for animation. I love it. I'm a big animation nerd. And I love animation because I think it's great and it should be everywhere. I think we can save the world with animation. Kind of. But anyway, I love it. I think it's great. And the last one was passion, right? I think passion's really important. And when I say passion, I mean the client is passionate about something and we need to ask ourselves, are we as passionate as they are about this subject? And are we willing to give our all to solve it? Projects need leaders, not more followers. We don't need any more followers. Clients are looking for leaders, people to drive their projects forward together with them. In a world full of static, our clients are looking for content that breaks through the noise. Opinionated content. We can't do that by continually making compromise. So I don't want to hear like everyone talking about the best thing to do is make a compromise. It's not often the case, right? There is room for negotiation. There are times we're going to hit a wall and we need to find a way to negotiate our way out of that on both sides. But if we've set ourselves up as partners from the beginning, that shouldn't happen. So how do we bring value, really, genuinely? Well, sometimes the most valuable thing we can do is in our first conversation with our client, we're honest with ourselves and we let them know that we're not the right person for this job. Why? Because either we're not feeling passionate enough about it, we don't love it, or perhaps we don't even respect the problem they have. If that's the case, maybe we can use the people that we know, our network of talent and other people working in this community to help them solve their problem. Because after all, we're trying to bring value. We want to be treated as a valuable partner. So if you can bring value by solving their problem, even if it means it's not you and you take yourself out of the equation, that can sometimes be the most valuable thing you can do. You know what, I understand what your problem is, but I don't think I'm the right person. That's okay to say that. So in the spirit of the breakdown, I think we should talk about things that are personal and specific, right? Right. So, let's think about an example, a test case, if you will, something that I've actually been through, right? One of the best examples for me in recent years was Noddy Toyland Detective, right? So here it is here, Noddy Toyland. And so that was a show that we were charged with in charge of developing for France Television here in France and DreamWorks. Which, there's a clash of cultures happening, and there's two very different sort of desires, I guess, right? One of the big reasons why that show was happening in France is because as a dormant brand, one of the things that kind of came out at the time was that the highest percentage of sales were happening in France. So it made sense to set the whole thing up around a deal based out of France. But, DreamWorks weren't used to working with French partners at that stage, at that time. Now it's more common, but at that time it was new. What everyone needed was some kind of reassuring process that brought the best of France and something that made sense for the Americans, something that was going to be different, like by nature, because we're not doing it in LA, but was recognizable enough. So you might call that compromise, right? You could call that compromise. But in fact what it was let's try and find a way to make a brave decision and lead, right? So we're looking for leadership. And there, what it meant was listening. It meant listening to France Television. It meant listening to DreamWorks. It meant sitting down and really understanding what each party was looking for. And once you've listened and asked the right questions, then you can start formulating a plan. And you can pitch that plan, right? So that's what we had to do, was work out how we're going to pitch a process. And when I say a process, it's not just what elements we're going to deliver. It's like who's going to be involved, how they're going to be involved, who's talking to who, what is the decision-making process, at what time are France Television seeing things, at what time is DreamWorks seeing things, and how are we empowering our creative teams. Because I think that's the thing as well. As managers, we are here to empower our creative teams. We're not here to compromise, push them under the bus. We're here to push their ideas forward in a convincing way. But we're also here to make sure they understand what our clients are looking for. So when we're coming to present things, and we're presenting, I would say, courageous decisions or choices. For example, Deltoid was a character that was not in the original Eden Blyton books, that was actually created by the director of the show, and it was a tough sell, but we pushed it through, I would say, in a respectful way, and that's how it kind of ended up in the show. Also, it was obviously tested and vetted by all concerned, all the major stakeholders, but it was done in a respectful way. And people supported that. We had support both on the US side and on the French side. So everyone got behind the show. It was a meaningful thing. I think the show's fantastic. And the whole crew that made it did an amazing job at uniting everyone around the show. And it's not a case for compromise. It's a case for leadership and passionate desire to make a great show. Next time someone wants to engage with you about your project, how about you start by asking them some questions as to why now, why me, why this? What do they really want? What are they looking for? Is this project really a solution for them? You want them to be your partner as much as you're going to be theirs. So you need to ask the right questions from the get-go. And if they're offering you work, you need to ask yourself some honest questions about, are you the right person to help them? Are you the best person to find a solution for their problem? First of all, you have to identify the problem. So identify the problem, find out if you're the right person before you commit. If you're not, then I think you can put yourself in a really nice position to help them find the correct solution. So compromise, I think it's a bunch of BS. So let's not try and focus on compromise. Let's focus on leading, bringing value, and listening to our clients. So I hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear your feedback. Stay away from compromise. Start driving projects forward. Be brave. Development's a challenge. We've got to keep it moving forward. Thanks a lot. Like and subscribe below, and we'll see you next time.